It's the end of July and it's time to take a look at what's changed for better or worse. I'll admit I've been a little bit hands off. It's been pretty hot and humid. We've had a few days where the humidity's gone and it feels more like a Maine summer, not a southern summer. This was one of the cosmos I started from seed. Really pretty. Not a great statement piece, but looks nice popping up there. So my bursts of color over here, okay. Still hodgepodge back there, kind of needless planting, I guess you could say, because you can't see anything behind that Suncredible sunflower. This is not knocking my socks off. I don't know if it's all the rain or what, but the Sun Patience haven't really been a statement piece. The purple ones look great, but the orange is less than impressive, and those were all proven winners, so I don't know what's up with the orange. Definitely cannot handle the moisture. And these barberry, I cannot believe how huge they are this year. They've been here for years, so I don't know why they've grown so much. Very boring, not a lot of color. I still like the year I had coleus back here the best. And I have one back there. I've decided this is all gonna go and we'll just put sedum in there. The foundation is really hard, it does not get rain. I'm getting a few buds on this hydrangea. This frost earlier this year had done a lot of damage. And of course we've had some deer that have visited consistently. Oh look, they've even eaten some of this allium, it looks like. Interesting. So I've put some hideous fencing, which you'll be able to see in a minute. The deer had devoured this espalier, ate all the foliage off of this. They've just done so much damage, it's also been discouraging, and I haven't really put a lot of effort in being out here. Japanese beetles are currently in residence. Oh, yep, they ate some of the sedum. That's recent. I would say they did that last night or this morning. Cleaned up the poppy that had gone by, the ugly dead foliage. This was the phlox they had eaten. It's making a little push for some color. But yeah, I have not been weeding really. These two green plants are datura that I had grown last year. Not really special for me, but I figured, hey, it reseeded itself, I'll let it do its thing. It's also been so rainy, we could not mow for a couple weeks, so now I have clumps of grass everywhere. Still learning and evolving over here. I definitely need more organic matter, so I'll be dumping a lot in the front. It's still pretty wet over here, drainage issues and such. I had tried throwing some clearance annuals over here, just too wet and too dense, so that was kind of a wasted effort. And looks like the deer came through and ate here this week. It's odd, these hydrangea have been here forever. So as you can tell, this is the wettest part over here. Nothing is really surviving that spot. Also learning I need to just plant in blocks rather than rows. I try to do, here and then at the end have a little bit of a pattern, but it just looks too messy from afar and nothing's really benefiting by doing that, I guess. The zinnias are kind of spindly. I know that they'll bush up a little bit. So this is the sedum I want to move to the foundation because it doesn't belong over here. Very pleased with these shorter snaps. They've been really neat. Nice for cutting. They're not super tall. The whole idea was to have them as bedding plants. They're kind of cool. And normally I have a lot more marigolds. They did not do great for me this year because of the cold snap we had. Cosmos looks great. And then as you can tell, this entire section is primarily shaded for a majority of the day. So I've got to reevaluate what's going on over here because cutting flowers will not work. The deer had come through and eaten a lot of buds off of this guy, hence the irregular blooming. Oh, the tansy's going to be in flower soon, which I know is basically a weed. And I had cut this up on the side of the road to use it for cutting. Globe thistle, I have cut some of that. It's great for the pollinators, but it always gets really ugly and like this. This is what happens. I'm not sure why the foliage gets like this. Is it because it's too wet? Humidity, I'm not sure. Speaking of pollinators, there's one right there. Oop, having some focusing problems here. What else? Rudbeckia. This is one version back here behind the stake. Going to bloom. Deer have not found that yet. Dahlias are taking their sweet time, that's for sure. Not a lot going on over here. I did cut a couple of the Jowie gypsies earlier this season, but nothing, yeah, like, I don't know what's going on. Oh, this is a straw flower. It's too spindly because it's so shaded over here. So again, very wet, not thriving. Hoping the zinnia fill in. Kind of glad I had thrown some extra seeds here and there, like over here. They're coming along. Cucumbers, okay, considering the deer had chomped that. I've picked a couple, nothing really blooming along. Tomatoes are meh, hanging in there, I guess, at best. Certainly not thriving. A little bit of fruit. Not the usual crops that I've had in the past. And this particular tomato here, especially, the deer had gotten a hold of when they got in here that time. Celery's gone to seed. Weeds everywhere. I need to get back out here and weed whack. I got a little bit of help doing that, but always more, especially this time of year. Ugh. This is some of my hideous deer fencing, the grow netting. It's working. It's not like I have my gardens on public display, so it is what it is. It's kept the girls out. Learned a lot over here as well. Ageratum, gorgeous, bushy, colorful. I like it from afar. It's always droopy, even when I cut it and let it hydrate. So apparently it's just going to be a bedding plant. I can't seem to get it to perform for cutting. These zinnias look way nicer than on the hill, and I don't know if it's because I planted them closer or what the deal is. So tons of ageratum. That grew very easily for me. Not my favorite, like I said. However, I will tell you, this style of zinnia, I can't remember the name of the mix, I am loving. It's a smaller flower head, but so beautiful. This dahlia, the yellow canary one, I've had pretty good performance on. It's not super large, which I really can appreciate. A lot of buds. Japanese beetles do like it because I've been finding a lot of them in there. Cosmos look great from afar. Japanese beetles have been loving those. Status has been phenomenal. Love that. Looks great in arrangements. Sturdy little bugger. I would like to grow more colors. I should be out here picking some beetles because this time of day is when I find them hiding in all the plants. So many of them. They love hiding in ageratum. So weird. Bee balm, I did cut some back. It was looking kind of nasty. And the hummingbird's still been around for the red, so that's okay. Also cut back those lilies. The Asiatic beetles have destroyed the foliage. The deer had eaten the buds. That was a big fat disappointment. I'm contemplating whether I'm going to dig them up and spread them out because it's a little thick there. This tomato is a waste. I felt bad getting rid of it, so there she is. What else? Hyacinth bean. That's doing pretty well. I probably should get some strings out here for it. Just something extra. I started to take the netting off here because none of these things are growing tall. I know now that I love Bupleurum. Need to do better about succession planting that because I would love to have that all summer. It's really cool. This is another one of the canary dahlias over here. Straw flower. I didn't think I was going to get any. I had lost a lot of the seedlings, but just slow to take off. So I'm happy for those. Feverfew is really cool. I should have succession planted some of that. Bachelors, those have seen better days. Amobium, weird. I had no idea it would get so tall and gangly. So it was all flopped into this aisle. I'm having a hard time deciding, should I pick it when it's just open like this or let it open up some more, but then it turns brown. Why is this not focusing? Could also leave it so it's just smaller white blooms like this. Not super exciting, but looks nice in arrangements. I have a couple of asters. Kind of excited about that. Never had good performance on those. Snaps have been phenomenal, particularly these ones, which are Potomac Sunrise. Love. So those have been in most of the arrangements I've cut. Also have one of the Chantilly's back here. I only had a few of those, but those were really nice. Ooh. Little bee really likes that snap. So not the most beautiful back here, but it is a cutting garden, so that's fine. Here's another set of roughly looking zinnias over here. Bug damage, unfortunately. Oh gosh. Cannot seem to focus on anything. It's like once you focus in tight on something, that's it. The rest of the video can't seem to wrap its head around it. So dealing with swamp over here, it's disgusting. Hodgepodge mess. Because the weather just was not pleasant to be out here, I had wanted to clear all of this, mulch it. I wanted to clear all of this, kind of just turn it all into neat, tidy area. Yeah, just kind of a mess. These are the hosta that I never really protected, set them up for failure. Solomon seal foliage, long gone. Butterbur still thriving. I've got some free iris from a neighbor at my mom's place. Might be too wet there. Need to get some more organic material for them. Cut back the astilbe. They were all brown. Had to do a lot of cutbacks. It was looking really haggard. Like I said, I wasn't in the mood to be out here, so here we are. Wet, deer eaten, disgusting, not colorful. I'm gonna lose a shoe. Oh, I had to pull up a bunch of mint. That was getting super aggressive, so I got a pile of that. Probably should clean up some of this creeping Jenny. Not most beautiful thing I've ever had to do, but I was desperate. I had put down repellent, was afraid that wasn't going to work, so figured a physical barrier. I really need to put some serious thought into fencing from the rock wall, because originally I'd put it on the front, which the deer obviously come from the woods, so it only makes sense to fence from that side. Yeah, so we used some trellis netting, deer netting, then I worry about the deer netting and birds getting stuck in it. They haven't, but if I do in fact set it up along the rock wall next year, I have to be careful of that. So these are the few hosta that I salvaged. It was such a beautiful year for hosta. Yeah, not a lot of color because this is a rudbeckia that the deer had eaten down. So it is finally blooming. Autumn frost. Sad to say that one got it. Probably should cut back the daisies. They look good from afar, so I'm okay with it. This coneflower is doing really, really well. The orange and red ones really thrive for me. Once it dries up a little bit, I will be dividing some of these hostas. I figured might as well do something positive. Despite the negative of them being eaten, I can easily see where I can divide them up a little bit. So we will do that. Cardinal flower in the back always kind of gets forgotten about. So that'll be blooming soon, looks like. And this hosta was kind of salvaged because I happen to have had this chicken wire here in a desperate like cover-up attempt. It seems to work. They haven't really eaten that one. But yeah, all these stubs, it just breaks my heart because it was so full and looks so nice. It's my own fault. I mean, I live in deer heaven here, but the Repellix had been doing so well for me. Those systemic tablets had really worked well. So after that, I used liquid fence, and I also had some Milorganite left over. So I put that down, and those combined with this trashy looking fence have helped. However, as we saw out front, the deer have been back. They were kind of staying away from the house, but this morning they were in the yard, so that's why they must have done that damage. Haven't been able to get to the drainage because it's been so wet over here. These were destroyed. So this is the other deer netting. I had pulled it up when I was cutting plants down. And disgusting clumps of grass because it's been so long and wet. We won't walk all the way over here, but not a lot to really look at over here. I mean, it will be nice someday. It's fun to have another area to want to work towards. And then over here, not a lot of color, kind of blah. And here sits my sedum, kind of I'm thinking of just letting it live here, take it out of the bag, and there it will sit on the septic. Whatever. This is really kind of cool. I am praying that we will get flowers on my cup and saucer vine. It has just been so happy and thriving. I'll give a little shout out to these geraniums that I did grow from seed. A little spot of color. So here's what's happening, and I don't know why. Why does the cup and saucer vine do this? I have two gorgeous ones that were on the deck, gorgeous, and this happened. And now those vines are dying back. And I do not want to lose all of this foliage. I want to see the flowers, that's the whole point. Like, I mean, it's climbing up my house. So why does this happen to these vines? I don't understand. I've never heard of it. Yeah, even this one that's hidden. Is it just humidity? I don't know. These spikes that you see here and there, those are the fragrant glads. I can't remember their botanical name. Hopefully those bloom. Japanese beetles have always loved the hibiscus. I have seen more activity of them out back than here, but clearly they've been chomping away. Just cut back the bleeding heart, hence the bald spot. Geranium's trying to make another push. Echinacea, yellow didn't come back. White one was covered in bugs. Now it's coming back a little bit. Red, thriving. Red, thriving. Elephant ear, shout out to those. They were clearance, thought for sure they were dead. Figured I had nothing to lose by putting them in the ground. And look at this little cutie. I'm so happy. I've always loved elephant ear. I've always spent the money buying them. So now I know I can grow them. Clearly it's ideal conditions. It's potting soil, for crying out loud, and full sun with a lot of rain, which is kind of great for elephant ear. These plants were clearance plants thrown in here. Clearly penstemon doesn't seem to be blooming again. And we're just getting some blooms on meteor shower. Yay. This sedum is still doing okay. So, not a lot of beauty, a lot of trials and sadness. So, just teaching me what I can do better next year and take care of what I have. Not so much about growing and growing and growing.